Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely historic, the big federal housing bill. We're talking about the largest single piece of federal housing legislation to come out of Congress since at least 1990. That is over 3 decades of policymaking, and we are just now seeing a bill of this magnitude cross the finish line to kickstart construction nationwide. So let's jump right in.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the housing affordability crisis, look inside the new bill, and finish up with a pretty fascinating political plot twist. Part 1. The housing affordability crisis and why this matters right now. So let's dive in. Experts might debate the exact figures, but there's a massive consensus here. The U.S. is short millions of housing units. We are simply missing the sheer volume of homes needed to bring costs down to affordable levels. And while this is for sure a national crisis, the data shows this squeeze is disproportionately severe in California's urban areas. The pressure on the West Coast is just incredibly intense, driven by a massive imbalance between the number of people who need homes and the number of homes that are actually available. And you can clearly see the breaking point when we look at the recent numbers. Get this, according to data released by the National Association of Realtors, the national median home price just reached a brand new, all-time high of $440,600. That is a staggering milestone all on its own. But in California, the median price sits at an eye-watering $930,260. Think about that. That record-breaking national price would be considered an absolute steal on the West Coast. The sheer contrast illustrates the extreme pressure cooker of the current market and exactly why federal lawmakers felt compelled to step in with historic legislation. Moving on to Part 2, inside the new bill, a once-in-a-lifetime solution. To truly grasp the gravity of what we're looking at, I want to share this quote from Stephen Russell, the president of the San Diego Housing Federation. He said, "I think the last time Congress passed anything of this magnitude, many of you were not even alive. It is almost a once-in-a-lifetime event." Right? So the crucial point here is that this isn't just routine administrative tinkering. This is a monumental, generational shift in federal housing policy. Supporters are deeply hopeful that this package will add up to more than the sum of its parts and finally get the country building again. So, what's actually inside this historic package? Well, it's a bit of a legislative grab bag of targeted tools. It basically uses a carrot-and-stick approach, awarding federal grants to cities that actively build housing, and, here's the kicker, punishing those that don't by withholding funds. Combine that financial pressure with new regulatory changes aimed at making pre-built housing cheaper, plus programs designed to speed up long-term recovery after natural disasters like devastating wildfires. Put it all together, and these tools are designed to forcefully unblock the construction pipeline. Which brings us to Part 3, the political plot twist, how it became law without a signature. Let's walk through the timeline, because the political circumstances here are highly unusual. Step 1, Congress successfully passes this massive housing package. Fair enough. But at Step 2, things take a turn. President Donald Trump actually refused to sign the bill. Now, the reporting notes this wasn't because he didn't support the housing measures. Rather, he refused to sign it as a, quote, protest against the Senate's refusal to pass a completely separate, highly controversial national voter ID bill. Which leads us to Step 3. Because there was no official veto issued by the president, the law simply went into effect, quietly and automatically, on Saturday. It's a fascinating procedural reality where the biggest housing bill in decades crossed the finish line entirely in the background.
And this quiet passage creates some really fascinating political ripple effects. Because the president chose to protest rather than hold a big signing ceremony, congressional Republicans were deprived of the opportunity to publicly celebrate what is objectively a massive legislative achievement. With the GOP facing electoral headwinds driven by immense public concern over the cost of living and affordability, a huge victory lap on housing could have been a major talking point on the campaign trail. Instead, that opportunity was largely missed.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question as we wrap up this explainer. Will this once-in-a-generation legislative grab bag actually be enough to finally fix the affordability crisis heading into November and beyond? We've seen the staggering deficit in housing units. We've talked about record-breaking median prices approaching $1 million in places like California, and we've now seen these aggressive federal incentives designed to force cities to build. But with the law passing quietly into the night, the real test begins right now on the ground, in city councils and construction sites across the country. Will these grants and regulatory tweaks be the catalyst that finally brings prices down, or is the hole already too deep? It's definitely something we'll be watching very closely. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.